Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 11th edition of the Bus Drivers Are Out podcast with your host, me, Brian Cohen. So after the third episode of the Challenge Rivals 2, I had a chance to speak with one of the people most involved in all the drama from this past episode, Knight. We obviously broke down a lot about his fight with Marlon, everything that led up to it, everything we didn't get to see, some of the aftermath, and some of the reaction of people in the house. Got a nice, interesting take from Knight about his side of things. And we also discussed the other big fight from that evening, Trishelle and Anissa. Plus, we talked about the challenge from this week and broke down his big jungle win. So before we get to all that, let me just first remind you to follow me on Twitter at BusDriversRoute. Go to my blog, busdriversroute.com, and subscribe to my YouTube channel so these videos are sent directly to you right when I post them. All right, that's enough out of me. So here we go. Here is Knight. All right, so how you holding up after last night's big events?
I'm holding up great. I thought it was a good episode for me. The only thing that the only thing that wasn't a good episode for me, the only part that wasn't good for me was probably the ropes course that I fell off those ropes probably about 4 times and continuously swam back down and climbed up the ladder. They only showed it twice, and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, I busted my balls on this thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying we'll get to all that. We'll get to all that. So first, let me just start with obviously the big Marlon fight from last night. So let me just ask first, because for some reason the cameras didn't catch Marlon and Derek hooking up, which I still can't believe. But so how did it spread that they did hook up? Marlon was the one who, me and Marlon were like not tight, but like, he was the one who told me that, hey, I've hooked up with a guy before, and some of my best friends on the show are, Derek and Tyler, and obviously, who are gay guys, and so it doesn't bother me either way. I thought what I was doing is, making a joke. Nobody really cared about his sexuality, and they edited it like we all cared. Like, how many gay people are on the show? How many heterosexual people are on the show? It doesn't matter. We're all friends. We're all fucked up family somehow, but it's just kind of sad that they portrayed it as a like we hated him because he might be bisexual or is gay, Mm-hmm. Now, do I think there's a thing called bisexual, to be bisexual? I don't really think there is. I think it's a stepping stone to becoming gay, but I'm wrong. I don't know. It's never how I've felt, so I can't be a judge. I don't want to be judgmental upon people. And you know what? Whatever anybody wants to do, that's their life. Do it, Yeah. Okay. So when you did in the charades, mocking Marlon or whatever, it seemed like at first you kind of took it as a joke. It was like, oh, wow, that's me and Kelly was doing that, but whatever, it's fine. And then all of a sudden it got to you guys about to fight each other. So there had to be stuff in between that, right?
Well, yeah, that's what you don't see is you see me as soon as after I did the joke, I looked at Marlon, I waved like, hey, bud, I'm joking, and he kind of had his hand up like awkward, because he didn't expect that to happen. But he was like, yeah, okay, we're cool. So I go to sit by him, and he knocks my drink out of my hand, and I'm looking at him like, are you fucking for real, kid? And because Marlon, he looks like he's big and tough, but I've seen Marlon in the gym working out and running. He's got no gas. He's got no stamina and no strength. He's not Marlon who used to play with Texas Tech or whatever. So everyone's like, oh, well, weren't you scared of him? I'm thinking, man, that fuck guy's way bigger than this kid and who know how to fight, unlike Marlon. And so he ended up like trying to muff me in my face. Well, that's when I lost it. And what they don't show is I had Zach holding me back, and Zach finally was like, Nate, fuck it, go get him. I'm sick of this kid. And I was like, yep, let me go. So as soon as I kept taking steps towards him, he would like circle me. And like, it's like, are you coming? Are we going to do this or not? And it finally went to a point where I took 2 steps back and held my arms out like, what's going on, man? Like, let's throw. If you want to throw, I'm ready. Let's go. And, he was always Mr. Tough Guy when somebody was around,
for somebody who always beats up, you know, people bigger, twice the size of CT, like he says, man, CT used his head like a freaking speed bag, you know, just bouncing it back and forth off that water in the first episode, you know. So there's no offense to me, that didn't look like somebody who could take somebody twice the size of CT all the time, you know.
So you were ready to throw punches and risk potentially going home over this? You were ready to go?
I was at the point where I actually gave two shits, because I hate people who are all about themselves, and you know, it was kind of getting to the point where it was like, okay, this kid, like, just everyone was just like, okay, this kid is so fucking annoying, he just needs to shut up. And I remember even talking to crew, and the crew would be like, this guy is ridiculous. Like, he's interrupting our shots that we're getting. He's a dick. He shows no respect. And, like, you know, our crew is out there, you know, camera crew, carrying more weight than we got. They're in the same heat that we got. And people tend not to respect them, you know. And it's just like, if you're, once you start becoming a veteran and start doing a lot of these shows, these people make that show happen, you know. So you got to help them out when you can. And when you got one bad egg not following directions, it makes the challenge a whole lot more miserable, you know.
So during your whole thing, did production step in to try to separate you two?
I think there was a hand that stepped in during it, but it was you know, once I really went at them, that's when they like were like, no, you guys need to grab each other, like everyone needs to grab everybody and just pull each other apart. But the funny thing was Marlon kept getting harder and harder, and you know, I guess I mean, I hate to say it, but he kept getting more ghetto or whatever he was trying to do, you know. He looked like he was in a bad rap video, what he was saying to me and stuff, you know. So, but
I thought you had the line of the night at one point. You said something like, "I will melt a toothbrush down and stab him in the ass." Now, where did that? Have you done that before?
No, man. I watch a lot of, you know, I may have smoked a little weed in my time, and so I watch a lot of Locked Up, you know, and they make shanks out of anything, but melted toothbrush shanks are some of the sturdiest things. So I was drunk and I was saying it, and I was more saying it for a laugh at the time, because it's like, hey, if this kid wants to fight me, I'm gonna fight. I'm not gonna stab him or hit him with anything. I'm gonna headbutt him in the freaking nose and break his nose, and you know, maybe step on his face a few times.
Mm-hmm. What was anyone? You said Zach was kind of with you, but were most people in the house on Team Marlon during this whole thing?
You know, it tended to look like that, but it wasn't really like that. I mean, most of the people there already know how I am, so they know that I'm going to make the asshole comment. But guess what? Every asshole comment I make, there's a sense of truth to all of it, you know, and how much truth was actually really portrayed there. Well, the whole truth. You put a wiener in your mouth underneath the pool. I had the charades that was perfect for it. So technically, should I be at fault for playing charades to the best of my ability, or should he have not sucked a dick in a pool if he's not gay?
Mm-hmm. Do you regret doing it, or are you totally fine with it?
Honestly, distasteful, because I did like Marlon, and I wish I went to, you know, kind of, I'm sure he's not fond of me anymore or whatever. I mean, it's like, oh my God, I'm not worried about my heart breaking because I'm not friends with Marlon or anything, but I just wish, I think he is a nice kid deep down at heart. I think he's a confused kid. He didn't have the benefit. He was like Trey last year on Battle of the Seasons. He didn't have the benefit of watching himself on television before he got on another show. So my thing, well, you know, even though I don't change my ways too much, but you have the opportunity to learn to change your ways, and he just he never was able to see that, unfortunately, you know, so didn't have the opportunity to change his ways.
Yeah. So just quickly now, flash forward to the end of the episode when, after you won your jungle and you apologized to him, was that legit, or were you just trying to, like, earn back brownie points for further voting or whatever?
I mean, he didn't have anything to do with my voting, so I gave two shits. If the kid wanted to fight me every day for the rest of the time I was there, I would have been fine with it, you know. But I obviously, like, I thought, you know what, I got to live with this kid in this house. Like, when I'm wrong, I'm man enough to admit that I'm wrong, and I was wrong for doing that, you know, maybe bad time, wrong place, whatever. But it just, I could have handled it differently. It was charades. I've got made fun of, you know, for God knows what, you know, and it's a game to make fun of people. And in that challenge house, you have to have some thick skin. And that's why, like, people are like, oh, how come Nate doesn't get mad? Well, I have thick skin, man. I had hockey coaches yelling at me that, you know, you're going to be a piece of shit if you don't blah, 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 do this, this, or this. And some of these kids just need to man up, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's a terrible choice of words to use, but they need to man up. My partner fucking included. Shit.
So assuming your invitation to Marlon killed the charades game, but were there any other funny ones before that? Because I assume you probably were out there for a while before that happened.
Oh, yeah. Everyone was laughing. You know, I mean, someone said something about me, and it made fun of me. I mean, they walked around the house, like, with a beer, like they were drunk, and that, you know, that was me or CT or whatever. And then, you know, you got to laugh it off. You know, you're trying to get a chuckle when you don't have any outlets, and you got to do what you got to do to make yourself sane and, like, you know, have fun and not think about the game all the time. Otherwise, you're going to give yourself, you know, a hernia. You know,
yeah.
you're always thinking about it. You're always, or an ulcer, not a hernia, an ulcer. You know, but yeah, you know.
The best was when you did the impression of Marlon. Johnny Bandit screams out, "That's every girl in the house." I'm sure MTV was trying to figure out a way to cut that out, but couldn't really do it.
Exactly. And you know what? I was not actually pretending to be Marlon. I was actually pretending to be Anastasia and CT. So, you know,
wait, really?
when she was blowing him. No, I'm just playing. I was
gonna say that would be a big twist.
But when you got Leroy looking at me like, I can't do this, motherfucker. I can't do this guy. I can't do this. And he's like, looks at me. I'm sitting right next to him. He goes, I know you can though, Knight. Get him, you know. And I'm like, okay, you don't gotta ask me more than once to get somebody, you know. Especially, you know, but if he was somebody who was humbler, then it wouldn't have been like that. It would have been a lot different. I wouldn't have went at him as hard, and I wouldn't have, you know what I'm saying. But when you come in cocky, like you're this new guy, and you're coming in cocky, and you know you expect everyone to be your best friend, then shit like that, it doesn't work out like that. Like you got to earn respect on these things.
Mm-hmm. So besides you and Marlon's fight, there was another fight with Trishelle and Anissa. Now, was that the same night as your guys?
Yeah, that was right after mine and Marlon's fight. I was actually segregated to a room after I threatened to melt my toothbrush down and stab him. So they like really thought I was gonna do it because these people on the show think I'm crazy for real. They like think I would really probably stab somebody, which I might if I had to, but you know, not. Chances are slim to none. And so yeah, they were worried I was gonna stab somebody. So they were like, you need to stay right here. And they actually brought me to the hotel for the night. And I was like, why do I need to go to the hotel? I wasn't the one who threw a punch at anybody. I was calm and collective until I got a punch thrown on me. And one of the producers goes, Knight, you get TV and you're staying at a 5-star hotel. I'm like, you know what? I need to go to the hotel. Absolutely. Put me in the hotel.
So when you got back, was Trishelle already gone?
Yeah, no, she ended up staying through the night and then left the following morning.
Okay. So how much of their fight did you know about? Like, do you even know what it's about? I mean, even as viewers, I don't really know what it was about.
No, I really don't know what it's about. I mean, Trishelle was just miserable there, you know, and I like, even though I made, you know, a joke on Trishelle, you know, I at the after show, like, I have nothing but respect for Trishelle and how, you know, some of the things need to be changed at that, with the Bunim and Murray house, and I think she was just like, you know what, I'm you know, 30-some years old. I don't need to be living like this. It was hell, you know. The house was hell. We actually, I mean, sorry to anyone who's Jewish out there, but we actually called the house Camp Auschwitz. You know, because that's how bad it was. I mean, the only thing they weren't doing was sticking glass tubes in our pee hole and smashing them with hammers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know, inappropriate, but
no, I love it. I think you're hysterical. Like, I mean, I know a lot of people. I'm sure you got a lot of hate on Twitter last night, but I think you had a lot of humor to these shows. So I love when you're on. So.
I'm going to be honest, man. I thought I was going to get a lot more hate, and I called like a couple of my friends up, and I'm like, "Hey guys, you should have my back about this because I'm going to have a lot of the gay community coming at me, and you'd be surprised. It was more about like, well, Marlon needs to come out, and yeah, Knight was wrong, but it wasn't more. It was with all the hate. It's weird because I get this a lot. People are like, Nate, you're the only person that I can still love, but I hate some of the shit you do, And so I think that's what I was getting, a lot of love, but with a little bit of hate in there as well. So
okay, all right. So we'll talk the challenge as you mentioned earlier. You guys didn't really do too well. So looking back on it now, because you guys obviously had to go first because of the penalty from the week before. So what would you have done differently if you were able to go last or whatever?
If we didn't have the penalty, because we actually didn't go first. The girls went first. So
okay.
We saw how they did it. And so they ended up loosening up the ropes in the ladder quite a bit when the guys' turn came up. I mean, they don't show stuff like that, but the girls and the guys are not competing at the same level.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's always funny when you see a girl go, oh, Dunbar fell, after the first one, all the girls made it to 3. Well, actually, that was a foot past your guys' last jump where no girl made it on,
Right. Yeah.
On the first elimination. So that's kind of annoying. But if I would have, honestly, with the 30-second penalty, we just had to win. I said, we need to beat CT and West. Let's go as fast as we can. And like I said, they didn't show it, but I hit that water about 4 times because Preston kept the ropes so tight together, so I couldn't balance once I get to the skinny part, and it would just flip me over.
Yeah, well, with the rule, was Preston allowed to fall off the rope also, so you both could start over, or is he not allowed to fall off?
Yeah, he could have fallen, and that's what we should have done. But in the moment, you're not thinking that. You're like, fuck, I fell. Hang on, buddy. I'll hurry up and get back up there, Not
because especially when he was like hanging on by just his arms. Like, it made no sense why he wouldn't just reset.
Drop and try it off. But I don't think he could have made it up the ladder again, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I mean, because the ladder, they loosened up that ladder. That ladder would spin around when the guys were on it and stuff, and the girls are just climbing up it like it's nothing. And I'm like, okay, I know, maybe besides Emily, I don't think any of these girls could beat me athletically, but
that's definitely one of those challenges. Yeah, I was going to say, that's definitely one of those challenges where it looks easier when you're sitting on your couch. I'm sure doing it was a lot harder than it seems.
Well, and what was harder is because you had to compensate for your partner's weight. If they leaned too far to the right, what happened was I leaned too far to the left and to compensate for Preston's going to the right, and it flipped us both, because I overcompensated. So that kind of sucks, but, shit happens in there.
So knowing you were going into the jungle before deliberation, did the girls ever ask you who you preferred to go up against, or were they just on their own voting how they wanted to?
Well, I had a group of girls that pretty much had my back, because they came up to me, they asked me who I wanted. I said, honestly, I wouldn't mind taking out a tougher team. I said, but it's also early where I don't want to go home. Jemmye was like, it's either going to be between, it's probably going to be Rob and Derek. Are you okay with that? And I'm like, well, that's kind of an easier team, but, yeah, that's fine. But you got to think, if Rob and Derek leave now, if we beat them, are we going to be the next ones on the chopping block for every girl's elimination? So you kind of want to keep that team around.
Like a buffer.
So they keep going in, But at that point, I was just like, I'm not losing. I'm not going home. I'm not, this isn't happening. I fucked up on this challenge. It's time for me to rebuttal myself and, kick ass in the elimination.
Mm-hmm. So you got your first elimination win in this quite bizarre challenge. So I noticed your strategy actually was smart, like going low, crouching on the ground. Did you come up with that on the spot, or is that something you and Preston thought about in between rounds?
Well, no, I told Preston to do the same thing, and he comes up with this Darth Vader lightsaber thing or whatever, and I'm like, what the hell is this kid doing? But I'm thinking to myself, I think I turned back and look at Zach and TT and give him one of the, like, what the hell was that? Like, okay, and then I'm thinking, well, he might be awesome at this. Like, maybe he does stick fighting that I don't know about. And he took 2 steps and walked right into Rob, whacking the shit out of him with the stick. So after that, I was like, okay, you know what? Stop putting your fate in other people's hands. Why don't you go win this?
How long did each of your rounds take? Because it seemed like they were a little bit longer than Preston's.
My rounds were a little bit longer. They were my first one with Derek was quite a bit longer than Rob's, because me and Derek were so trying to feel each other out, and I think I was being a lot more cautious due to the fact that I didn't want to, you know, if I got a stick broken over me, I'm on a 38-hour flight home.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. So just going back to the previous episode, I don't know if you heard Frank. He did an interview with that site Grantland last week, and he said during his fight with CT that he ended up punching you in the face later on that night. Did that actually happen? What was the story with that?
No. What happened with that was Frank, you know, I basically what I did was I saved Frank from getting killed. Frank said, I forgot what, Frank said he hit me or something like that.
Yeah, it was like after the first time they got separated, that you guys came out again, and then Frank hit you in the face while you were trying to separate them, I think. Yeah,
no, he never caught me in the face. But the reason he was crying on the show is because he did, he swung at me and it, connected, but I've been hit harder by my, 4-year-old nephew. So, Frank's, what's the best way to describe Frank? The word he hates to be described by. He's a pussy. But that's the best way to describe him, because he doesn't know any better. You know what I'm saying? He wants to play this innocent guy, and he's the victim. And it got to the point where, Frank, you're not the victim, man. You are all these problems are self-induced. You bring these onto yourself, and he doesn't ever admit his fault ever. It's always someone else's fault. It's always something, so.
So getting into big arguments is not really something you're not used to, because last season you got into one of the most heated ones ever with Nany. So I was curious what your relationship was with her this season.
Me and Nany have always been pretty close, to be honest with you. We get mad at each other and stuff like that, but me and Nany, a couple nights we were up in the pool till 7 o'clock in the morning, just me and her, just, smashed hammer, just having the time of our life. And, she ended up, we made our amends over the pool incident that I did. She tried to steal my laundry this year, but it didn't work too well because I was laying next to her in the bed, and I look underneath her bed, and I'm like, hey, wow, that's crazy. It's laundry day, and there's my clothes, and I need a good hiding spot. No, me and Nany are close, and she's one of the people that I actually talk to on a regular basis, and me and Nany both love to bitch, so we go on these rants for 45 minutes together with each other, F this, F that, can you believe they gave us this for food, and, but we would do it just to get a laugh out of each other to kill time on this challenge house.
What about your relationship with Jemmye going into this season and throughout this season? How are you two?
Me and Jemmye were good. Friends-wise, me and Jemmye will never be anything more than friends. She can say, I've done all my bad stuff. I get that, which I have, and do I deserve to have her back? Probably not, because she was an awesome girl from when I had her. But now there's some shit that she's pulled that's been quite shady in my eyes, which I'm not going to get into. But, I wish her the best, and she knows if she ever needs anything, I'm here for her. And, I guess she's team undercover brother in this last challenge in that fight. So it was kind of funny when she said, I wish I would have saw Marlon beat Knight's ass. And I sent her a text, and I was like, have you ever seen me get my ass kicked? I go, I didn't think so,
Mm-hmm.
So. Not to say it can't happen, but anybody can lose any fight any day. But I'm never going to go into a fight thinking I'm going to lose. Then you already lost then.
Yeah, well, it seems like next week things might escalate a little bit more with Jemmye, Marlon. Yeah, maybe you. I haven't seen what's going to happen, but it seems like a little more of a fight might happen next week. So.
Yeah, me and Jemmye next week. I mean, not a spoiler, obviously, but you already know what kind of happens. But Jemmye decides to do her annual. I love Knight, so I'm gonna throw everything at him that I can because I love him so much. I hate him. So yeah, that happens at least once a year. So.
Okay. So are we going to see you back on a challenge in the future? Will you accept the call if it came your way?
Man, I don't know if these challenges would be entertaining without me and a couple other people on there. So I hope they have me back. Otherwise, it's going to be a snooze fest.
We got to get you a non-New Orleans partner though. Every time around, you're
oh my God!
Confusing.
I said to the Justin Booth, the executive producer, I said, Justin, I go, man, I get it. It's karma. I've slept with a lot of girls. I never called them back. I may have given them a fake name. I might have a kid out there that doesn't have a dad because I didn't tell him it was me, or whatever. I said, but karma has screwed me in the butt enough. No pun intended to Preston there, but screwed me in the butt enough. And it's time to let me do a duel. Let me compete by myself. But even with Preston, you know what, him quitting and stuff like that, I'm still there to try my best. And you know what, some of these challenges, yet we might not win them, and Preston might not be able to finish them, but it's almost to prove to myself that I can do it. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to finish every challenge hard. That's why me and TT didn't quit that one challenge. It was just something that it's a pride thing. You're there to compete, and I would give up anything to compete and play in hockey games like I used to, and I can't do that anymore, obviously. But so this is gets the blood flowing like it's a hockey game, So I'm there to win. I'm there to prove to myself that I can do it. And how many times do you get to do some of these challenges, in your lifetime? They're insane.
Yeah. Well, because the Rivals 3 in a couple of years, you'll definitely be with Marlon, I would think. And hopefully in the later part of this season, you got to hook up with Emily or something like that. So for Battle of the Exes too, you'll have a sick partner there. So.
Right, I don't know, man. If she put me in a scissors leg lock or something like that, she might kill me with those hammies. But and I'm praying I'm not partners with Marlon because the guy's got no gas, no gas whatsoever. So, but he looks like he's in good shape. But shit, I could outrun him for days.
Before you go, let me just ask: at the Liberation, what was Preston wearing? That wig. What was that?
You know what? If I could drown Preston, here's what I want to do to Preston. I would love to baptize Preston in our pool with some of the outfits he had on. And when I mean baptize, I want to hold his head underneath the water in the pool until the bubbles stop coming up.
Oh my God.
So.
All right. I'll let you go. Before you, where can people find you on Twitter and all that stuff?
You follow me on Twitter at Knight_MTV, and yeah, that's about it. But I appreciate your time, and
yeah, keep the one-liners coming. Keep them coming.
Hey, yep, they'll always be there. So yeah, and hopefully I look forward to talking to you later on in the season as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Mel. They'll definitely do it again.
All right, have a good one.
You too, man. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
There it is. The Bus Drivers Are Out podcast is in the books. Hope you liked the interview with Knight. He was as candid as usual. So before I wrap things up for today, let me just again remind you to follow me on Twitter at BusDriversRoute, my blog, BusDriversRoute.com, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just going to keep reminding you, these videos will pop up directly to you. You won't have to wait for me to post them on my blog. Giving you guys a little heads up. That's all I'm doing. All right, so that'll wrap things up for me. So until next time, have a good one.